G'day guys, Blunt Brad here for a Diablo 2 experiment video. This experiment is about 55 hours in the making and it's on high rune farming in Lower Kurast, so let's dive into it. Okay, first things first, I'm counting everything mal and higher as a high rune. If you're one of the snobs that considers everything under like an ohm, a mid rune, that's fine, you can keep track separately. So what exactly is this experiment? Well, I did about 600 to 800 runs of Lower Kurast on player 7 and I started to realise something. I realised that most of my high rune drops weren't actually from the super chests at all, but from random corpses, skeletons, chests, stashs, and so on. The still image you can see here is what I found on that first 600 to 800 runs. I've also used a mal, ist, and an ohm in my CTA, a low for my Merc's Fort, so as you can see, those runs had a pretty great yield in terms of high runes. I also found my Stone of Jordan and a 5 life leech BK doing those Lower Kurast runs. So with the learning that super chests might not be the only way to find juicy stuff here, I hatched an experiment. I wanted to discover the optimal way to find and farm high runes in Lower Kurast. Is it to focus purely on the super chests and nothing else? Or is it worth spending an extra 60-90 seconds to hit some other chests and things along the way? Teleport around a little bit. Let's jump into the numbers and find out. These are the results of my first 1000 runs. I was leaving almost no stone unturned on this one, opening not just the super chests, but everything along the way in reasonable tele distance. And for the record, players 7. My first drop was a Vex rune on run 58, and it did drop from a super chest. Let's keep a tally of where they dropped for curiosity. My second drop was a Gull rune shortly after on run 65. This one did not drop from a super chest. Next up, I got a Burr on run 104, super stoked to get that. Interestingly, also not from a super chest. On run 125, I got this Gull rune, not from a super chest. On run 179, I got a Sir rune, also not from a super chest. My next high rune drop was an Ist, and that was run 237, and that was from a super chest. Just 6 runs later, I got a Vex rune, but not from a super chest. And on run 277, I was blessed with a mal, this time from a super chest. On run 307, I got an Ist, not from a super chest. After a drought that lasted over 250 runs, I found another Gull rune on run 569, also not from a super chest. 2 runs later, on number 571, I found a mal from a super chest, and this would be my last drop from a super chest in this 1000 runs. My next high rune was this low rune on run 695. Following this was a mal that dropped on run 835. Shortly thereafter, a Vex dropped on run 857. And my last one, right before I finished, was another mal rune on run 998. So let's break that down. 15 high runes over 1000 runs. That's an average high rune every 67 runs on average. On average, these runs took 2 minutes and 20 seconds when I wasn't killing anything. As you saw, I did let a few blizzards drop on the packs because I was only level 78 when I started doing this, and I got exceptional experience. Time I spent doing that is not factored into these calculations. Nothing dropped from monsters, so that's fine. So at 2 minutes and 20 seconds per run, the 1000 runs came in just shy of 39 hours in total. At 2 minutes 20, that is 1 high rune every 2 hours and 36 minutes on average. 4 drops from the super chests, 11 from other sources. Very interesting. And just a note to the snobs, best I got from the super chests was a Vex. The other 3 were an Ist and 2 mal runes. With that, let's jump into part 2, 1000 runs, players 7, where I only open the super chests. These runs are all about speed. For my theory to be valid, I have to try hard to disprove it first. My first high rune was a Gull on run 41, then I had a colossal drought. 624 runs without a single high rune. I was ready to just declare my suspicions as confirmed when this low rune dropped on run 665. 220 runs later, on run 885, I dropped a Rune. On run 958, I got a Gull. And Gull are pretty lame. I think of it as half a Vex, and suddenly I'm satisfied. Then I found an Rune on run 991. And yes, to the purists, I concede there were no Mal or Is in this batch from the super chests. So let's dive into the numbers. 5 high runes on 1000 runs. That's 1 high rune every 200 runs. On average, these runs took 60 seconds when I wasn't sidetracked raining blizzards. So that's 16 hours and 40 minutes across those 1000 runs. 60 seconds multiplied by 200 runs gives us an average of 3 hours and 20 minutes per high rune. That's almost an hour longer than my initial method of turning over the extra stones. If I dropped the 6th high rune in there, would have dropped my average to 2 hours and 47 minutes, so still 11 minutes slower, but roughly comparable. But remember, I only dropped 4 high runes from the super chests in my first 1000 runs, so there's no indication I was unlucky to only get 5 this time. So ultimately, these results are not entirely conclusive. The true test will be after 10,000 runs, as our numbers and data will be more reliable at that stage. Downside is that it'd take almost 400 hours. For now though, I'm definitely sticking to the no stone unturned method myself. I think there's something uniquely special about Lower Kurast, and it goes well beyond just those super chests. It's a truly special place for finding these high runes. Anecdotally, I did 15 to 20 runs after I'd finished my experiment, and this happened. And in the same short time frame, this. Couldn't believe a monster dropped a high rune. Wow. Well, that's a wrap. Let me know what you think of this farming method for Lower Kurast. Feel free to suggest any fresh experiments, and I'll see you next time.